Sectoral.com with us to talk about the markets currently. Kush, very quickly off the bat, a good afternoon to you. Are you taking a trade on the index here right now?
I'm not on the Nifty, most certainly. Bank Nifty perhaps on a bit of a decline. I just might consider. I think this is exactly what a storm in a teacup would look like, right? I mean, from Monday onwards, we've had an uptick on the index, and we tested that 25 to 50 level yesterday, even today as well. But we retraced from there. It was showing, at least in the morning, when 25,200 call options had a very heavy base. That's now shifted to 25,100. Supports very clearly at 24,500, 25,000. So I think for the past 3 to 4 sessions, the commentary has been the same. The market reaction and behavior has been fairly same. So as long as these levels are taken out, 25,250, maybe if I push it a little to 25,300, which is also the 20-day moving average, as long as that is not taken out, I think this consolidation could well continue. Slightly more constructive today as well on the Bank Nifty, and we've seen that kind of a movement where from 56,850, the index has shown a smart up move. Now it's once again knocking at those resistance levels close to the 57,300 mark. If we do get a closing above it, I won't be surprised to see another 300-400 points of zoom to 57,700. So a little more constructive on the Bank Nifty. Any dip further, closer to the day's low, or just below 57,000 should be taken as a buying opportunity. Nifty could well continue to consolidate for somewhat.
Okay. What specific ideas for the afternoon then, Kush?
Still going with both long ideas, Neeraj. The first one is Sai Life Sciences. It's had a good run from a medium-term perspective. It's had a very good run. A couple of days of profit booking. Yesterday, the stock was up. Today, you're seeing a mild uptick on this one. So 20-day moving average support also kicking in. For the last couple of days, that's been the trend for Sai Life Sciences. So on the way of 538, 838, I beg your pardon, 860 are your targets, and 793 is where you place that stop loss. The other one is Timken. Very interesting moves on this one as well. For the last 15 sessions, it's taken support of the 20-day moving average, rebounded. Today also, if you see the recovery from the low point of the day, which was close to 34.50 or the levels, has been rather smart. So yes, I think this momentum in Timken could continue for levels of 37.30 and 34.30 is where you place that stop loss.
Wow. How many times have we seen someone talk about Timken? Very interesting, Kush. A couple of names, Kush, and one of them has to be Paytm. Yesterday didn't show the massive reaction that some people may have anticipated. In today's session is up quite a bit. Is there a trade here on offer?
Neeraj, not at the current levels. I mean, if you'll recall, we discussed that, Paytm was a call that we discussed at 980 odd levels. I think, not too far back, about 6-7 sessions ago. It's been doing, very well since then. Yesterday also, we saw a very smart recovery on this one, again, from the low point of the day. Today, you're seeing that run extend. But now, from a near-term perspective, the risk-reward ratio is just not favorable. So my suggestion would be a partial, profit booking on Paytm. However, if you see the medium-term setup, very interesting. The stocks actually crossed that 1,050 resistance mark. And, if you go purely by technicals, I think another 250 points of rally very much on the cards in the next 3 to 6 months. So from a medium-term perspective, it's a hold. But if you did buy it for, a very short-term view, yes, you should look to book profits partially, hold the rest with a trailing stop loss near the 1080 mark.
What's the take one platform company to the other? What about Eternal?
A very similar story, Harsh, here. Eternal also had a very good run. With that gap up sustaining, that we saw 3 days ago and yesterday and today as well, continuation of that. I think the near-term trade is done and dusted. So yes, if you do have a position, again, book profits partially. But here too, you've got a breakout above the 305 mark, which suggests that the medium-term trend, is bullish, will continue to remain strong. A weekly setup does not suggest overheated territories, although the daily setup does. So yes, I'll give you, a view from two time frames perspective. From a very near-term time frame, you've made very good returns. So not a bad idea to take money off the table. But if you're in this from anywhere from 6 to 9 months kind of a horizon, the 305 resistance level being taken out, again, you're looking at about 75 to 80 points kind of an uptick from here on as well. So 375, 380 are the next targets if you're willing to hold on for some more time. So depending on your time frame, Broad trend is intact, so you could hold, but from a very near-term perspective, slightly overheated, so maybe book partially.
You know, the other one, Kush, which is looking interesting is the Tata Motors. Couple of days, it's shown remarkable resilience. What's your take on this one?
Nothing's changed. The remarkable resilience that you spoke of, I think, the trade deal that, has come out with UK is perhaps pushing it today. But otherwise, if you see what's happened here is that, it's struggling to break past that 50-day moving average today also. It's retraced from high levels. I maintain my view, which is, if you have 12, 18 month kind of a horizon, the risk reward ratio, even now after this 100-point up move from 600 levels is still very, very healthy. So, a long-term pick is still understandable, but I wouldn't trade Tata Motors for momentum. For that, I put Mahindra and Mahindra. So yes, if you have a long-term horizon, you should continue to hold Tata Motors, but it's not a momentum trade even now.
Okay, Kush, stay on. So much more to talk about. Let's get in fundamental voice on the conversation as well to try and understand how to look at the markets fundamentally and from somebody who invests not just for the near term but for a slightly longer term. Rahul Mehta, founder and CEO at Bias Capital, with us on the show. Rahul, great having you. Thanks for taking the time out.
Good to be here.
Did I pronounce it right? Bias Capital?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Bias, the river in Manali.
Okay, perfect. So the market is, well, you could argue not exactly flowing like a river because it's had, how do I say, it's been in a very tight range the last few days,
yes.
Right? You don't look at it from a very short term, but my question to you therefore is that if earnings are not able to drive momentum right now in India, how do you think of Indian equities from the next 2 to 3 or 4 quarters, let's say for the rest of FY26?
Look, generally we look on a long-term basis. A lot of the macro in India has been better this year than it ever has been from a current account perspective, from a global perspective, etc. We see earnings in some sectors being challenged, especially the global ones, etc. But from our standpoint, we are looking at having 20 companies in our portfolio in a few sectors, and there are several sectors, be they financial services or parts of consumer, that are actually very attractively valued today.
Oh, okay. Sorry, maybe I should have started off by asking to tell us a bit about Bias Capital, right? When you think of 20 companies in your portfolio, you're long-term investors. How do you think about this? What's the AUM? What's the kind of money that you manage? And you invest what the perspective of investing for the next, let's say, 2-3 years? How do you do it?
So our goal is to pick companies. We have 2 primary strategies. One is when great companies make temporary mistakes. Perhaps there's a wrongly accused tax rate, perhaps something else happens. We have already done diligence. We have a strong corporate governance screening on the promoter, and we jump in and buy. The second, actually, very interesting one, is we're seeing a number of companies that are run by average promoters, and those companies are now getting pushed by the banks to sell them. And so you're having rapid consolidation in companies. For example, Euroca Forbes moved up from a very leveraged promoter, now with private equity, growing very rapidly. So those are the 2 strategies that we use. 1, great companies that have taken a temporary fall, and 2, companies that are getting sold who have good assets, but perhaps not the capital to invest, doing very well.
Right. Rahul, so you spoke about one theme being consumption. And consumption, we're seeing across companies or most sectors or subsectors and spaces, we're seeing a bit of tepidness with regard to growth. How should one therefore look at consumption? Because consumption has always commanded, or for the predominant part of the last decade, commanded a premium valuation. But at the same time, now we're starting to see growth come off as well. So how should one look at it?
Look, let's break down consumption. Consumption can be soaps. Consumption can also be, as we move up the Maslow pyramid, be hotels, suitcases, holidays, travel. The latter part is growing quite rapidly and actually entering the market from a disorganized to organized perspective. Now, staples, of course, will not grow so rapidly because I think we have moved from soap being a luxury to being a necessity. Toothpaste, luxury to a necessity. So those companies may not grow as rapidly as the ones I mentioned before.
And so therefore, what's the best way to play this? And how should one look at value and growth within this space?
Look, from a Bias Capital standpoint, we are playing higher on the Maslow pyramid. Like I said, hotels, consumption from a travel perspective, consumption from an experiences perspective, not necessarily staple. There we see significant growth and actually decent value also in some areas.
Also, tell us, I read your note and suggested that you're not exactly positive chemicals manufacturing. You don't see the cycle turning at some point?
Look, cycle will turn. India will be a beneficiary from the China Plus One. We just don't get the comfort in that sector from a valuation standpoint. It is a B2B industry at the end of the day. We've invested in it 5 years ago. Today, we don't see that margin of safety that we'd like to see.
Okay. So, Rahul, what's the construct? I'm guessing that you do bottom-up investing, and therefore you may be sector agnostic, if you will, or maybe you choose your sectors and then go bottom-up. So, where is it in terms of where are the pockets where you are completely avoiding investing? Maybe because of the valuation reason, maybe because of the growth faltering reason, or maybe because there's just too many uncertainties into these businesses.
Look, there are two sort of no-go areas from our perspective. One is bad governance. We don't understand it. And the second generally is public sector companies, because we like to identify a promoter. Promoters drive businesses. And so we're very focused on that. We do a lot of work on our sectors. We don't invest in a sector without a white paper written. We don't invest in a company without a level 1 report written. So I hate making mistakes, right? And then once we buy more when stock prices go down, and we stay with the investment for 2 or 3 years, because that's actually the period of time when value gets built.
That's true. Well, I'll tell you what has been the accident of the day, and I would love to get Rahul's view on the same, but let me first get in Varsha, my colleague, to speak about the setback for power exchange IEX or India Energy Exchange, as the electricity regulator has approved what is called market coupling norms in the day ahead market, or the DAM, in case you've read DAM, or DAM as an abbreviation. What it means, I believe, is that IEX stands to lose its dominant position as the leading platform for power prices. Varsha Johnson with the details. Varsha, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, thank you for that. Neeraj, IEX stock is down almost 26%. Investors lost more than 3,300 crores of rupees today. Now, the highlighting point over here is the biggest moat of IEX, which was benefit from price discovery on the platform, is no more there. Now, IEX is known for its efficient price discovery mechanism, which is a key moat or competitive advantage, which now, after this regulation, is no more there, as market coupling for day ahead market starts from Jan 2026, and power exchanges like IEX will no longer compete on price discovery, and common algorithm will determine the best price. Now, what is market coupling? It's nothing but it aggregates buy and sell orders from all the power exchange, and that discovers a single uniform market clearing price. Now, why this is negative for IEX? Because this reduces IEX pricing power and competitive advantage, and IEX will rotate as market coupling operator with other exchanges, and this dilutes IEX current market dominance, because this coupling can shift volumes to the competition. And IEX, if you see, has a market share of almost 85% in the spot market. Now, what lie ahead is that this is into day ahead market, but the real time market and term ahead market coupling will also follow, and Grid India will develop software and conduct a 3-month pilot for term ahead market. So overall, the moat which was there will no longer exist, and that's the reason we are seeing pressure in IEX.
28% down and counting. Thanks a lot for that, Varsha. Now, Rahul, can I bring you in on this conversation? You may not have a view on IEX individually, which is fine, and if you do, welcome. But either this or just this whole thing around exchanges, because the uniform belief is that on every sector almost, that whether it's capital markets or power or commodities, that there is one exchange or two exchanges at best. They are catering to a population of 150 crores, which will at some point of time use these exchanges. The story is 15-20 years, and therefore you are safe with these businesses. It's only accidents like these which show that not always, right? How do you think of the exchange businesses in India?
We've tracked the exchange sector for probably 15 years.
Wow, okay.
We were part of a task force that was set up when, in 2010, the government said that exchanges weren't allowed to IPO. And so we sort of rebuilt BSE and NSE and being big believers in the private market. And regulation is still forming in that industry, and we're seeing part of that formation today. The NSE has significant technological advantage and significant desire to go into adjacent areas. And I think we're seeing some of that happen. What our operational walls are going away. The same thing has happened in other sectors in India with UPI, and will continue to happen. So I think regulatory risk in India is real. We are not invested in IEX. We have, like I said, been part of a lot of research papers, etc., with the BSE and NSE. We think the NSE will benefit from a lot of what you said, but that's sort of the only one that we would bet on.
I hear you. Okay. The other thing is that you've spoken about how what excites you is not necessarily market kya hai, but more like buying businesses for the value which in 3 years' time will compound in a way that it excites you, right? So I'm trying to think of where is it that you find a combination of promoters which are ethical, businesses that excite you, and they are available at valuations which may seem palatable, because that's a bit of a rarity these days in India, isn't it?
You're asking a lot. But look, we have significant capital in financial services.
Financial services, okay.
We own 4 banks. We're very excited by the progress these banks are making from a regulatory standpoint, from growth standpoint, and distribution. We think there are 2 moats in India. One is access to capital, and the second is distribution. And we own financial services for both those reasons. So we're very excited by that. And we think the financial services from 2010 to 2020 was more corporate story. From 2020 to 2030 will be a more retail story. You've seen how the long 10-year bond in India has come down to 6.6%. It's getting close to the US. So people will consume more, they will borrow more, and that's the sector that we think the management teams are great. We got the best regulator in the world, the RBI. And that's the sector that I would say we spend a lot of time on.
Music to Harsh's ears. Harsh?
Absolutely.
Follow-ups?
Yeah, so where?
He tracks BFSI so closely, yeah.
So where within the lending pack? Would it be the larger ones? Would it be the smaller ones? You've already spoken about exchanges being something that you're tilted towards, but where else?
So look, we don't base our decision on size. We base our decisions significantly on management team, significantly on strategy, and really in financial services, regulation is very key. So understanding what the RBI is thinking, not getting caught in seemingly interesting stories that may not have the long-term perspective of the RBI is something we really focus on a lot. And so, like I said, we have a couple of large banks and a couple of mid-sized banks. We have stayed out of microfinance so far. We have stayed very close to SME lending. We think with UPI, etc., there'll be a lot more lending in that area. And so far, we've been out of corporate lending.
Okay. Unpacking this a little bit, you believe the MFI cycle will turn at some point this year?
We are seeing turning already happening.
Perfect.
We are seeing a nice segregation of some companies who are choosing to focus on MFI lending, and some who were perhaps opportunistic, who are getting out. And so obviously our interest lies in the former.
Perfect. And sorry, I'll completely change track. IT and tech, that's the other place where you seem to have a tilt, especially AI. How do you play that theme at this point from an Indian market standpoint? Data centers, power generators, and the power value chain, how should one play AI as a theme?
So we have historically liked IT services. Today we don't own IT services.
Yes.
We are building our analysis on white papers. We own one data center company. We are very focused on the power theme for this reason. And we're actually looking at a lot of BPO companies and seeing how they can use a lot of the processes they have to build the large language models. So that's an area we think that is sort of different, but has a lot of value.
Okay. And so is data centers a part of the AI thing or the energy transition thing? And I'm just inclined to ask you, even if it is not, is the beauty about India is that traditionally, maybe until 2020, there were 5 or 6 large sectors. Suddenly, you had defense come up as a very large sector. You had energy transition, very large sector. EMS, very large sector, right? In these sectors that have been created in the last 4 or 5 years, have you find merit in longevity of the trend and thereby the ability or your affinity to invest into any of these sectors with a multi-year view?
So absolutely, when we measure sectors through our white papers, we measure what the size is of the sector, the potential size,
Right.
what the organized capabilities, how much can we get to, what's happening in other parts of the world, what the regulator's thinking. These are the sort of the key facets we use to measure a sector. And I think all of the sectors that you mentioned are good. And the good thing with public market is that if you miss it the first time, it'll always come back down. You always get to buy, you get to observe the companies as they go along, and observation is the way that we learn. We've been doing this for 20 years, we're still learning.
My last question, what's the last white paper that you wrote? Because you would have measured that sector. Give us some details about it.
We wrote something on microfinance in January of 2025.
Tell us about
And we
it.
wrote a few things after that too, but given our previous conversation, we picked up on it. And like I said, we found that there were some companies that were doubling down, had been very mature over the last 24 months, and some companies that had been a little more aggressive than they should have.
Got it. Okay. Rahul, this has been great understanding how you think about things, the frameworks and companies in a good industry with a good promoter, every rupee to be treated like your own, some fabulous principles. We look forward to have more conversations with you. And thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. That's Bias Capital with their thoughts on how they see investing, markets, and the current trends. What we do is slip into a very quick break. We need to slip into a commercial break, about time. Come back, get you all the chatter from the dealing rooms. Stay tuned.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator, Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks,
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. It's a packed show today. Let's quickly get to Heard on the Street because Soumit just joined us, and with all of the dealing room chatter that we've been hearing today, Soumit, what are you hearing?
Multiple stocks continue to remain in focus. Firstly, it's on Jaiswal Neco. Now, there was a large block deal that happened in trade today. Dealers are indicating that asset care and reconstruction was the likely seller here. But the interesting name that has come in when it comes to buyer. Dealers are indicating that it's a prominent investor who owns a PMS and a listed entity as well. And he's one of the likely buyers of this stake in Jaiswal Neco, and that's the reason why the stock is up more than 10% in trade today. Apart from that, it's OFSS. Now that counter has been buzzing. In fact, it's one of the few IT companies that has been trading in green. Dealers are indicating that there are large buy flows when it comes to FII desk, and this is after the strong set of numbers reported by the company in the first quarter. For Shriram Finance, sell flows across the board is what dealers are indicating, and dealers are also indicating that fresh concerns have come in for Shriram Finance, and they're expecting a big spike when it comes to the credit cost of the company in the first quarter, and that's the reason we are seeing this fresh set of sell flows coming in for Shriram Finance. And when it comes to Olectra Greentech, there are a couple of buzz on the street when it comes to this counter. First buzz is that the new CEO appointment is expected to be announced soon, and this new CEO will be someone with a strong background in the EV segment. And the second buzz on the street is that a large EV company might pick up some stake in Olectra Greentech. So keep an eye out for that counter. That counter is up around 12% in trade. And lastly, Huptown is in focus. Dealers are indicating that there could be a potential fundraise announcement, a preferential issue that could come in Huptown. So keep an eye out for Huptown as well.
Wow. And an existing EV company, large EV company, picking up a stake in Olectra after all the...
There are a couple of news. Either the CEO announcement could come in or this.
Okay, yeah, even that's an important one for Olectra. Okay. Okay, any timelines for any of these, Soumit?
No.
Nothing, no timelines as yet. Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that. Well, so watch out for those. I mean, I got greedy about the timeline simply because we spoke about Religare only yesterday and the news came out right at the end of the day. Okay, Aditya Shah, founder of Hercules Advisors, also joins in along with Kush Bora into this conversation. Aditya, great having you. Thanks so much for joining in. And can't not talk about some of the stuff that Soumit highlighted, right? So, I'm guessing tracking a Jaiswal Neco might be difficult, but, or maybe you do, but an Olectra Greentech, a stock in news in the space, which everybody's talking about. Any thoughts here?
So Olectra Greentech, the company is doing well. Company's order book, company was in the news for all the wrong reasons when Maharashtra government cancelled out their orders for EV buses. But the company continues to do exceptionally well. And the buzz around maybe, as Soumit was saying, maybe a new investor coming in or the CEO coming in. Most likely the new CEO will be announced for the company. So it's an interesting stock. I'm watching out for the stock, and the company should do well over the next 5 to 10 years. The other stock I'm not tracking, so will not be able to comment.
Okay, Kush, 2 or 3 stocks that Somit highlighted. Electra is one. Aditya offered some advice there, but on the charts, is there a trade here? If not Electra, maybe Jaiswal Necco, is there a trade here?
No, not on Jaiswal Nico. Not for any other reason, but the fact that the stock's been extremely volatile. I mean, if you see the last 7 sessions, it's gone from 50 to about 35, and then almost back to those 50 levels. So not a very healthy sign. Even if you want to trade, you would rather prefer a smooth uptrend or a smooth downtrend, depending on the case maybe. So no, but as far as just the levels go, I think from support perspective, the convergence around the 40 mark is a good support zone, and on the way up about 50. Olectra Green Tech is shaping up very interestingly. I'm not looking at the daily setup on this one. The trade's done, but from a weekly setup, there is a falling trend line resistance that the stock has broken. Came at about 1300, 1325 odd levels. Volumes, as we've seen now, have picked up quite a bit. So yes, this recovery could actually take the stock to significantly higher levels, that of 1600 and 1750 as well. So quite an interesting setup and a very healthy breakout on this one. Keep a stop loss if you enter now near the 1300 mark.
Olectra Green, stop loss is for sure if you enter, and I think move forward with caution as well, though a lot of news now buzzing about it. Stay on with us, Aditya and Kush, but let's talk about the stock of the day. I mean, the Force Motors, I think there's with force, huh?
With force.
Force Motors with force today. The stock is up and about in trade, over 14% up. Let's bring in Puneet to know what's worked for the company. Yes, on the face of it, numbers were good, Puneet, but this level of excitement, what's behind it?
Well, we also took a look at the historical performance as well, but the company rightly performing well to its name today. Let's first look at what it does. We've also mentioned that it's a maker of engines for Mercedes as well as BMW cars, and also manufactures commercial vehicles. That does include something like an ambulance as well as school buses and vans. So these are the 3 key segments that they operate in. They operate 3 key brands as well, which have taken force ahead for the company in terms of financial. Urbania has really picked up over the last few months. We've also seen something like a Gurkha and the City Line, which are the 3 key brands for the company, doing very well. When you look at the key trigger today is the Q1 earnings. We have seen revenue up 21% at 2,297 crores. EBITDA is up 33% for the company, and the net profit because of that has come out at 52% growth. With strong margins of 14.5%. That was the key 4 numbers. The Q1 sales has been very robust. 26% growth is what they've reported in this particular quarter. That's led across the board and these segments that we just spoke about as well. And apart from that, the flagship models of Urbania has been doing really well for Force Motors, and that has picked up at least over the last 18 months or so since it was launched as well. When you finally look at the other key trigger, that could be the management change. They have appointed Anshul Saxena as part of the senior executive management team to the board. They've also he's going to be taking the vice president corporate strategy role at Force Motors and taking responsibility for the company's long-term planning and initiatives for new focus areas as well. I also just want to pull up a quick table on the company's performance over the last few years, and this could provide some perspective there, because if you see from FY22, the company's revenue was roughly about 3,200 crores. That has inched up all the way to 8,000 crores in FY25, and they've also delivered a strong performance in this year as well. When you also look at the margins were just 1.5% in FY22 and have gone up to 13.5% in FY25. In this quarter, they've done 14.2%. Profits as well is up 8x in the last 3 to 4 financial years. So it's not just that this result has been surprised the street, it's been consistent performance as well. They've been able to do that at a very strong return of capital employed ratio as well. For just minus 3%, it's gone to 30% in FY25 and should continue to do well with the launch and the higher capacity utilization as well as new investment take place as well. Stock currently trades at 43 times price to earning, and that's largely because of the strong up move we've seen over the last 1 year on the stock. It does not have any analyst coverage as well. So for retail investors, do your due diligence, because it is trading at higher valuation right now but definitely a business that's done very well over the last 12 to 18 months and is getting rewarded now with the street giving that kind of fillip to Force Motors.
You know, also shout out to the management, Abhay Firodia and then Prasann Firodia, who have been building up this business and moving ahead, because that's really how these turnarounds take place, one step at a time. But let me come across to Kush Bora on Force Motors. Kush, I'm going to ask you about Force and then I'm going to ask you about IEX. I know you must have already answered that IEX question, but it's slightly different. Let's start with Force Motors.
Force Motors was close to 6,000 at the start of this year. I think that itself will answer what kind of a run it's had. Do you buy now? No, you don't. I mean, every time the stock dipped to the 20-day moving average in this calendar year, that's been a buying opportunity and the stocks rebounded from there. Right now, that level comes to 16,200, 250 odd levels. It is some distance away. But yes, I would say if you have, please continue to hold, but no fresh buying. On the daily, on the weekly setup, it's highly overstretched. So yes, wait for profit booking bouts, and the stock has given those profit booking bouts every now and then. So if not, maybe at least 16,200, closer to that 17,000 mark is where you consider an entry. Not at the moment.
140% nearly in the last 12 months. It's astonishing. Okay, my IEX question is a very simple one, and I'll come to Kush and then I'll come to Aditya. If by chance, and what's also astonishing with IEX is institutional investors who kept buying, hoping the worst would not happen. This question is not for them, it's for the retail investors perhaps. What do you do? This is a clear is raat ki subah nahi wala scene as far as IEX is concerned. First opportunity, cut your losses, shrug it off, move on to a better day. Is that what it is, or is there some turnaround that's possible here? Kush first.
See, for the optimists, it'll be, the night is darkest before the dawn. But yeah, sadly, I'll go with what you said, is that Subhani kind of a thing. Obviously, the volumes have spiked up massively. And even now, if you see the stocks actually not really clearly, too far off from the low point of the day. So yeah, no point venturing a trade, being such a brave heart. Even if, we were to do that, I always suggest that let the stock rebound, let the stock tell you that, the bottom's in place and, there's a rebound around the corner and happening, witnessing on the charts, and then perhaps go out. Right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. Mind you, Tamanna, this fall has accentuated today. But if you see the stocks actually been cracking from those 200 levels in the past 5 sessions anyway. So maybe markets sensed it, maybe there was something, already happening, but the structure wasn't looking that great anyway. So yes, I would suggest a wait and watch kind of an approach. I don't think there is, there is any kind of merit in buying at the current levels or even considering a break.
Question is not even on buying. If you're holding, are you still waiting and watching, or are you saying let's cut our losses and just call it a day the moment you get an opportunity to sell, that is?
So look, with this kind of a drop, it's not a bad idea, because see, a bulk of the losses seem to have come about. At least that's what it would seem like. So I would suggest, just hold it for a day or see if there is any kind of a rebound. And this does not mean any kind of a recovery in terms of, coming back in the black, but it only means that your losses would be a little less. So I would suggest a hold, just because there has been a massive dip, oversold territories. You could see some sort of a rebound in, if not immediately tomorrow, maybe in the next couple of sessions, and you could exit at a slightly lesser loss.
Aditya, your take on what someone should do with an IEX if they are stuck in it at this point?
Draw some parallels with the equity markets. NSE is the exchange where 99% of the trades really happen. Even if BSE offered some lucrative prices for trading, liquidity just does not go away from NSE to BSE, because the huge quantum of trade that happens on NSE means that people will need to come to NSE as well. So similar thing is happening with IEX as well. On IEX, what the regulator is CERC really is saying is that market coupling may come in. They have approved the concept, but how will the concept work? What is the framework of the concept? Nobody knows as of now. So what they are saying is that if market coupling comes in, for DAM market, the day ahead market, all the bits will be accumulated and then sent to a body, which will then finalize what is exactly the price at which these bits need to really happen. So from my perspective, even if market coupling does come in, which I don't think it will be weathered down to a lot of extent, because the relevance of power exchanges will go away, and nowhere in the world does any market coupling really happen. If it does happen, of course, IEX will lose market share. No exchange in the world can hold on to 80 to 90% of the market share. But the market already is expanding, and IEX now coming down IEX will start to come to about 20 to 25 times multiple, which looks really very interesting to me, given the long growth potential that IEX has really got. So difficult position for IEX as of now. There should be a clarity as to how market coupling will come in. But for longer term investors, the steep fall in the stock price is a good buying opportunity over a period of next 5 to 10 years. Investors must watch. Normal investors must not enter the stock. Only those investors who have high risk appetite should start to look at the stock.
Normal investors should not enter the stock. Is that what you said?
Of course, the volatility in the stock over the next 3 to 6 months until clarity emerges with respect to market coupling will mean that normal investors who don't understand the stock prices will get caught out. So from my perspective, any retail investor who does not have deep understanding should stay away from the stock for the time being.
Okay. Talking about normal investors, I think appetite has grown to the extent that everyone wants a piece of the pie, and that's what you're seeing when you look at the capital markets play. We're talking about Motilal Oswal, and it's been a stellar quarter for Motilal Oswal. The stock taking a bit of a dip right now, but just to talk about the quarter gone by, marked with a fair amount of milestones. We're joined now by Ramdev Agarwal, Chairman and co-founder of Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Mr. Agarwal, very good afternoon to you. Pleasure as always to have you here with us on NDTV Profit. It's been an important quarter. The AUM business has crossed the 1.5 lakh crore mark. What has been the top highlight in your view, and what has been the big move?
Yeah. So actually this quarter has been quite a milestone, I would say. I mean, in terms of declared number, it is the largest quarterly profit we ever had of 1430 crores. So clearly for us, it is a big moment. Not that this is going to be the highest number. In future will clearly surpass these numbers. But right now, this is the largest in the history. And it is led by operations as well as treasury, because Motilal Oswal is twin engine kind of operation, treasury and operations. So operations have grown at about 24% on top line and 21% in terms of bottom line, in terms of 522 crores of profit for this quarter, which is what gives me the biggest comfort. And it is led by fantastic performance in AMC, PWM, and above all the capital market, where we are the largest QIP raiser of about 30,000 crores in this quarter for the corporates. So I think these 3-4 operating highlights have brought the revenue up by 24% and matching performance in terms of profits. But because in last quarter we had a negative mark to market, this quarter, as the market recovered, we have bumper a mark to market of almost 1,000 crores, and that takes the total profit of treasury and operating to more like 1,430 crores.
Mr. Agarwal, this is Harsh here. So just give our viewers a perspective on how one should look at numbers. Because of this mark to market, your numbers do appear to move quite a bit. Give our viewers a perspective on how they should look at Motilal Oswal's numbers.
I think they should look at TTM basis instead of looking at a 1 quarter basis. That might be a little misleading. I think if you see at 4 quarter numbers, trailing 4 quarters, I think then you'll get a better sense. Like last year in March, our profits were about 2550 or something like that. Now with the June quarter, it will be about 3,000 crores as the TTM. Because in 4 quarters, you get 1 or 2 quarters low markets. In 1 or 2 quarters, you get high markets. I would say trailing 4 quarters is a reasonably good reflection of what's happening in the company in both the engines, operating as well as treasury. So now the operating profit for last 4 quarters have gone up from 2,500 crores in March to here more like 3,000 crores.
Sir, good afternoon, and Neeraj here joining in the conversation as well. I was going through all that happened in FY25, the investments that you guys made, and you gained market share across the 5 verticals. No flags about what will happen in the rest of the 5 verticals, and continued growth. That was the con call in May 2025. You reckon the same narrative continues?
Yeah, I think except for the retail brokerage, which got little bit impacted because of regulatory changes which came in sometime in September, October last year. So that will play out for next 2 quarters more. I mean, this quarter is impacted. I think 2 more quarters are impacted more intensely the September quarter. But once we get over that, even for us in this quarter, even the retail brokerage distribution, B&D, brokerage and distribution retail, is muted. It's not down, but it's not showing that 30-40% growth we are used to. So I think that year-on-year comparison will subside sometime in September and maybe probably December. But starting March 25 or March 24, I think we'll have a very good growth numbers even from retail brokerage side.
Sir, trying to understand the lending business a little bit more and what's happening there. Your yields have come off a little bit and your NPA ratios have spiked when I'm looking at it QOQ. There's also some bit of credit cost build up which is there. Just give us a perspective on what is happening in housing finance. A couple of big players have suggested competition is coming in a big fashion. Pricing has gone a little bit awry. So just trying to understand kya ho raha hai, sir?
We have actually, since housing finance is on a recovery mode, actually in the first quarter, the growth in the disbursal is more like 57% with more or less same kind of a yield. Just that we have built the sales force for further growth. So the productivity of the sales force has not built up and hence the cost have stacked up a little bit. So profit in absolute terms has not grown as much as the top line has grown. So as far as our understanding is concerned, because we are still a small company, we have just about crossed 5,000 crores AUM in the housing side. Everything looks to be fine. In fact, the sense is that for the whole year, because a lot of accounting cannot be done in terms of insurance income, in terms of some they downsell some of the things. So I think the overall, I think we are expecting 30 to 40% growth in the bottom line on a 25-26 or 23-24. Sorry, 24-25. So yes, we are a little, I would say, cautiously optimistic on housing finance side. But yes, what you're saying is right that there is much more intense competition in the affordable housing, and more importantly, that segment is not growing as much as the upper end of the housing is growing. So much of capital is chasing. So yes, it becomes a little more difficult to grow profitably.
Oswal, the last few years, you've come a long way as an entity, right? From less than $1 billion at the very least to where you are right now, which is almost $7 billion or thereabouts and counting. What do you reckon over the next 5-10 years you could replicate what you've done in the last 5, 7, 10 years? At the pace of growth be stronger?
Yeah, Neeraj, see, we are tailwinded right now. I mean, I'm telling you, we were tailwinded between 2003 to 2007.
Okay.
I remember of that phase now. I mean, from 2020 to 2025, this 5 years has been massively tailwinded. What we did between 2003 and 2008, 2008 profits we repeated in 2018. So we had a almost like broadly flattish decade. So again, there is another round of growth of expansion of capital markets on the back of retail expansion, starting from 2020 till 2025. Now we are at 200 million. I hope we are headed for 400 to 500 million kind of thing in next 5 years. That's my hope. I mean, it should happen like that. A lot of things don't happen as we expect, but we are tailwinded. And as the no tailwind lasts forever, as this tailwind continues for next 4-5 years, I think we will try to make best use of it, and we will put best foot forward from Motilal Oswal in every possible business.
Mr. Agarwal, I'm just wondering that with the way markets have been the last few months, have you seen activity on that end come down a bit in terms of number of accounts coming in, retail activity? Have you seen any kind of slump or dip there?
No, if anything, we have seen the corporate activity picking up. In fact, the block selling, one of the things which has emerged is the sustained selling by the corporates of their holdings. I think the promoters' holding have come off by 2-3% in last 1 year. So I think the rich valuation in the market and no more promoter selling is looked upon negative. I think we are seeing a lot. The new phenomena for 25-26 is what I would say significant selling by promoter entities into the market. So that's the new one, which further expands the market. It is more. That certificate which was illiquid is becoming liquid. So floating stock, the free float of the companies are increasing slowly. But India is the only place where you have 45% promoters block, only 55% is floating stock. So as the promoter block melts and comes to become kind of owned more broadly by the people at large, I think the capital market will expand. Meaningful capital market will expand, and corporate activity will also capital market activity will also expand, because the moment promoter sells the stock, he opens a family office and the money comes back to the AMCs and wealth, and all sorts of activity happens.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up on that question, and not necessarily as someone running the company, but now with the hat of the market expert, of how you see that trend, promoter selling, and on the other hand, primary issues and how they are flooding right now. Do you see this as a healthy trend or a bit of a tread with caution kind of a situation?
No, this is the healthiest thing to happen for the longer term. See, short term, there could be a price spike down or whatever. Wherever there is excess supply or something like that, it will kind of quench the market appetite. But then the demand from the retail side is so sustained that we need supply of good quality paper. And so I think the companies which are growing, where there is a good demand, and if the promoters are willing to accommodate the fund managers' demand, I think that is the best thing to happen. I don't see it as negative at all. So free float increase in Indian markets are, it's fantastic in every aspect, except the liquidity is very, very poor, because the companies are relatively small, and of that, very small portion is listed. So as the listing increases, the play area will become much more wider and much deeper. So because the price of the stock is not determined by who is selling or who is buying. Price of the stock is determined purely by the earnings performance. So if the earnings performance goes double, even if the promoter wants to sell 50%, 60% of the company, I think the stock will move up.
Okay, so good times ahead. Just again, as the market expert view, and one last question. I know I'm over time and I've taken more of your time as well. Are you worried at all with the kind of lack of momentum that we're seeing right now?
I think we had great time. I think this is the period when earnings are somewhat slow. So we got to have patience, but we are very close to the all-time high. We are just about 1,000 points or something lower. So maybe 4-5%, 6% lower than all-time high. So we have done well. I think we need to bring some patience in the market, whereby let it consolidate, and as the earnings pick up, we should be ready with our dry powder to take the market to newer highs.
Okay, be ready with dry powder. That's important, view coming in there from Ramdev Agarwal. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking with us. Pleasure as always. Keep your powder dry at a time when things are slowing down. We've done well. We'll take a very short break. We're coming back with BTST ideas and a lot more as markets take a bit of a dip during closing.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बात, खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I
or
hold
lifetime
ICICI
investment?
CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising.
Back with India Market Close right here on NDTV Profit. Dhaval Ajmera, Director Corporate Affairs at Ajmera Group, joins in. And Dhaval, thanks so much for taking the time out and being with us. Summarize the quarter, because it seems that MMR still has had decent sales and pricing trajectory. It can't be said for all the regions in the country, but in MMR, at least your peer sets who have come and spoken to us have said that both the sales volumes and the pricing trajectories look okay. Has it looked like that in your numbers?
So, I'm very happy to say that this has been our highest quarter over the last 5 years. The sales have been pretty good. Although, our advance sales this quarter has been a little lower because we were just awaiting some project approvals. But in terms of project efficiencies and in terms of collections and all of that has been performed really well. So overall, the performance of the company has been good. The PAT margins have improved. We've gone from, we have just increased by 20%. So overall, it is looking good. And, this overall, right now also the real estate market has been in a good position, and we feel in the coming quarters, we should be able to perform even better.
Dhaval, hi, Tamanna here, and great to speak with you as well. Numbers are looking good, no doubt, but margin pressures have come in. What are the reasons there that you say?
So, look, these are all little cyclical in terms. There may be some cost rises and the, points like that. But otherwise, overall, if you see, we have been incremental in our PAT margins also. From average, we were earlier at 8%. We've improved it to 17, 18%. Probably this quarter has gone down to 15. But otherwise, in the overall scheme of things, we will still be continuing to be over 17, 18%.
You've also had some project delays which have impacted your pre-sales numbers. Are those now getting ironed out? Can you just give us some sense of what's happening there and if you see this resolving going ahead?
Yes, definitely. A few of our projects, 2-3 of our main projects were getting delayed because of the regulatory approvals and certain things which are not in our control, as is held at Supreme Court. But fortunately, 1 or 2 projects have, moved out of it. It was not held under Supreme Court general regulatory orders, but something related to our project, which we are hopeful to get it cleared and we'll be able to launch very soon. And that will start showing results in the coming quarters, which will definitely help us improve our pre-sales in the coming quarters.
Okay, so in the coming quarters, by when? That's 1 quarter, 2 quarters. How do you see that?
Yeah, we are looking at September and December quarters to have good numbers coming in from these projects.
Okay. And what is the overall outlook looking like for FY26? What are you sticking to your guidance there? Are you revising it after the first quarter? Anything that you'd like to add or give us a sense about?
No, we are sticking to our guidance, what we've given about 1600 crores. And we are very confident to surpass that with the way we are launching about this financial year. In the next 8-9 months, we'll be launching about 7 to 8 projects, which will have a top line of about 6,500 crores. So this will give us those numbers which we have envisaged in the coming quarters.
Just wondering, Mr. Ajmera, because luxury is where it's at as far as MMR real estate is concerned, and you have a new entrant, I would say an old entrant who's come a second time after a huge gap in the form of DLF with very aggressive pricing. Do you see this as adding to the competition in the landscape at all? Just wondering what your thoughts are there.
Well, honestly, the way Mumbai MMR market is, I don't really foresee too much of competition. In fact, it is great to have players like DLF and others who have been established in the NCR market and then coming over here. And obviously, they also bring in landmark projects. So it is then going to be fragmented to these kind of developers who have been established and developed and giving good projects. So I think that will be the preference going forward to all. So we're very happy that these kind of projects and developers come in, which does not add competition but gives a variety to the market.
Why no project additions this quarter though, Dhaval? That's one thing that has stood out for Q1.
So as I said, we are awaiting a few approvals which got delayed over the last 5-6 months. But now one of the projects is just getting cleared and we should be able to launch in the next month or so. So we were supposed to launch it last quarter, but due to some approval issues, it got a little bit delayed. But now we are going to launch it in the coming quarter.
So does that delay sort of keep you on track for your 3,000 crore plus guidance, or does that get a little adjusted?
No. So we have given a guidance of 1,600 crores, and that's where we continue to still stand.
Okay, so for FY26, it's 1,600 crores.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajmera, for speaking with us. Dhaval Ajmera, there, Director of Corporate Affairs at the Ajmera Group, and real estate there in the picture right now. All right, like going across very quickly to Rajesh Palvia, who's joining in on the conversation this afternoon. And Rajesh, we'll talk a bit about, let's talk about where the markets are going before anything else, and where you see the indices heading, even as we now start addressing the big story that's breaking on your screens, that the India-UK free trade agreement has been signed. So maybe that's going to give the market some good news, if at all. But let's just talk about the indices, which have been fairly dismal.
Good afternoon, Tamanna. So looking at the fall in Nifty, it seems to be a controlled fall. Nifty is not going below 50-day moving average and holding around those level only. Bank Nifty is comfortably holding above 57,000 level. So I think looking at the fall which we are witnessing in today's session, that is purely for weekly expiry point of view, as the major put based concentration was at 25,100, and they are trapped in this fall. So I think we are near to the important support area of 25,050, 25,000 level. So I think if we able to defend these levels, some pullback action is likely to be there from the current level. So this is an opportunity again on the near term for near term trader with stop loss of 25,000. I think one can initiate long here for next 1 or 2 trading session, and we are expecting that some pullback action towards 25,150 to 25,200 we may see in the next 1 or 2 trading session. So keep a stop loss of 25,000 for buying Nifty in this fall. For Bank Nifty, again, hold the long position as 57,000 is clearly holding up. So I think if he continues to trade above 57,000 level, the 57,200 is the immediate hurdle. If we take out those levels, so I think short covering action can trigger, and then we may see further higher level for Bank Nifty. So our take would be on the buying side for this dip with stop loss of 25,000 for Nifty.
Okay. What about your picks this afternoon?
Yeah, so UPL is looking attractive. The way stock managed to give breakout on the weekly chart and holding at higher level and consolidating after a breakout. So we believe that UPL can extend its gain. Possible target towards 760 we may see in the near term perspective. So buy and accumulate would be the strategy with stop loss of 715. Another stock is Loras Lab. Stock is continuously making higher top, higher bottom formation, and stock is almost trading near to its all-time high trajectory only. After a brief consolidation, now again there is a fresh breakout on the daily chart. Looking at the breakout, we believe that Loras Lab can extend its gain, and possible target towards 865 to 870 we may see in the near-term perspective. So Loras Lab is buy with stop loss of 823.
Okay. Loras Labs UPL on your radar. Meanwhile, even as we're waiting for that big US-India deal, the India-UK Free Trade Agreement is inked. That is what we are hearing. You will have a briefing from the Ministry of External Affairs at 6:30 p.m. today. There is a power-packed delegation that is in the UK right now with Prime Minister Modi. You have top corporate voices there from Sunil Bharti Mittal, Anish Shah, to Ashish Chauhan, like the whole star cast of corporates is there. This is an important one that is being signed. It's following 3 years of negotiation and it's going to give a massive boost. In fact, by $34 billion, that's going to be the boost between India and the UK. It's expected to double by 2030. Rishabh Bhatnagar joins in. He's been tracking this very, very closely. Rishabh, you put out a story a short while ago about how whiskey gets cheaper, but I'm sure there's more to that than that headline.
Yes, Tamanna, we're seeing that this major FTA that India is signing in over a decade now with the UK, this is spanning about 26 chapters, including trade, services, as well as intellectual property rights. What we're seeing is that about 99% of Indian exports to the UK will now enjoy zero duty access under this new FTA. Apart from whiskey, like you said, we're seeing that textiles, gems, toys, auto components will be among sectors that will gain from just about 4 to 16% tariff removal from these particular 4 sectors. What we're seeing also is that not just goods, this deal covers services as well. And with the UK, will now be opening access in IT, in finance, education, professional services. And these are major service sector exports that India does in terms of talent as well. What we're seeing also is that there will be sort of temporary access given by the UK to Indian chefs, yoga instructors and musicians as well as part of this deal. And a very important part of this deal is also the social security component of it. There is through which Indian workers in the UK will be able to save about 4,000 crore rupees annually. This is a 3-year social security exemption. Basically, Indian workers, when they are settled temporarily in the UK for up to 3 years, they won't have to pay insurance contributions as part of their salaries there. That's where the saving is coming in from. So it is beneficial to employees as well as employers. And also, apart from goods and services, what we're seeing is that non-tariff barriers will now be also addressed. And therefore, exporters across sectors stand to gain from this particular FTA.
Okay, so exporters across sectors, that's an important one. Rishabh, I'm going to request you to stay with us because there's impact for textile, gems, toys, auto components. It's across the board. This is truly a huge deal, and we've broken it down for you in terms of stocks as well.
But Tamanna, just 2 points out here, and maybe Rishabh spoke about it. The UK is expected to invest about 5 to 10 billion pounds in India until FY30. For energy, clean infrastructure, etc. A lot of material out there which says it's the UK's most significant trade agreement since Brexit. And from all the FTAs that have been signed by India, it is India's most ambitious FTA as well, which enhanced the comprehensive strategic partnership that India has had. So in some sense, it's historic for both the sides as well.
It's historic also. I don't want to say it that way, but we're showing how it's done.
Yeah.
A massive deal without all the kitsch, to put it in different words. Promises, threats. This is quietly and beautifully done. Works for both sides. I mean, this is how mature nations come out and do it. But we were talking about stock specific. Which stocks stand to benefit from the historic India-UK free trade agreement? Mahima is joining in with more details.
Right, so I'll start with the textile sector first because that stands to benefit the most because overall tariffs were as high as 12% on textiles, which were being sent to UK. They'll now come down to 0%. Duty-free access to UK's market will provide a level playing field for Indian exporters. Overall, Indian exporters previously faced a high duty disadvantage, and that they were competing against likes of Bangladesh, Pakistan, Cambodia. So that will come down now, and overall in FY24 around 6.6% of textiles from India went to UK, but that will now increase and grow in double digits. Overall stocks to benefit from this sector would be Welspun Living, Trident, KPR Mills, Pearl Global, Gokuldas as well as Arvind Limited. In terms of the other sector, that is footwear, might also benefit from this because the exports had tariffs of 16%, which is now again 0%. So this will benefit that particular segment as well, and almost exports are expected to grow to that $900 million in terms of the footwear segment. Agri is another counter where there will be benefits that will flow in. Staples like turmeric, pepper, cardamom, etc. will also benefit. Zero duty on agri commodities again, so that's a big win for India. Duty access is expected to increase agri exports by over 20% in the next 3 years is what the analysts are penciling in. Now, some counters that could benefit from this include your Tasty Bites, Agro, ADF Foods, which make ready-to-eat foods and export to the UK. In terms of the marine exports, this is also interesting because zero duty access for almost 99% of marine exports. So shrimp, tuna, fish meal, feeds will become duty-free, and stocks that could benefit from this include your Coastal Corp, Apex Frozen Foods as well as Avanti Feeds. These are the three counters that could benefit from that. Engineering goods, now interesting one here, tariff elimination as high as almost 18% under the FTA. So engineering exports to the UK could nearly double in the next 5 years, reaching to almost $7.5 billion by FY30, something that the analysts are penciling in. Now, some counters that could benefit from this include Thermax, Cummins India, there's Grieve Cottons and ABB India that could probably be benefiting from this. Another few sectors that could benefit includes your gems and jewelry. So your Rajesh Exports, Viber Global, PDS Limited could benefit from this. Chemical companies also stand to benefit. Counters like Gujarat Fluorochemicals, Balaji Amines, Naveen Fluorine, Himadri Specialty, Lakshmi Organics, Fine Organics would also benefit from this as well. So these are the counters that will stand to benefit from the UK FTA.
Got it, Mahima. Sorry, I had to cut you because I think we've got a management with us. Gokuldas Exports, if I'm not wrong, is joining us on the phone line to talk about this. And Mr. Ganpati, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us. How important could this be or how important is this for the textile sector, for example, and for a company like yours?
Thank you for having me. It's an important event for the industry. Any FTA significantly enhances the export competitiveness of the country. And India's exports to UK, which is just barely above $1 billion, about $1.5 billion, can significantly grow. If you look at Bangladesh, which exports about $3.5 billion from Bangladesh because of duty-free access to UK, we will have a level playing field with that country, and we should be able to export a lot more from India than we used to. We will also have a better deal than China, which goes with duty, and we will have a duty-free access to UK market, and we will be able to compete well with some of the traditionally strong exporting nations. So I believe that the opportunity is at least $1 billion of incremental export opportunity in apparel. It will be good for the Indian apparel industry, and many apparel producers will benefit from this.
Mr. Ganapati, Tamanna here, and thank you so much for speaking with us. You spoke about the relative, relative sort of advantage vis-a-vis Bangladesh. My question to you, sir, is Indian industry prepared and ready to take advantage once the tariff pressure comes off for efficiency, for everything else that Bangladesh has done fairly well as well?
So it's not a relative advantage. We'll have level playing field with Bangladesh, and the relative advantage vis-a-vis China. Yes. Definitely, Indian apparel industry is quite globally competitive. That's the reason why we have 16 billion exports from India. So, Indian apparel exporters can take advantage of it. With the FTA, definitely I feel that, Indian apparel exporters are strong enough that they can do a lot more business with the United Kingdom and expand the opportunity between India and UK.
What do you think is the timeline when all of these advantages start coming in? I'm just asking because I know we'll have some of the details of the deal by 5:30 this evening. There'll be a press conference. There is a huge delegation there as well. But for the textile industry, by when do you think these advantages come in? There is also an investment that the UK will make.
So the advantages will kick in after the zero tariff kicks in. I think it will take several months before we will see that. There will be a lot of procedural steps required to be done by both the governments, including in custom portals, etc. So as and when the zero tariff kicks in, which may be a few months down the line, you will start seeing apparel exports increase. In the meanwhile, I think brands in the United Kingdom and manufacturers in India will start having a lot more dialogues on how do we expand the opportunities there.
Mr. Ganpati, this is Harsh also joining in. Sir, give us perspective. One is you have Bangladesh, of course. You seem to suggest that we are at par where Bangladesh is concerned. What about some of the other countries, Vietnam, etc.? How well are we placed versus them? And does this push
as
you?
I said, right, vis-a-vis all other countries, we will be definitely better placed, and we will have a better opportunity, with respect to the market in UK. So as I said, it's a $1 billion opportunity, in my opinion, incremental opportunity. Let's see how that unfolds. It should take a few years before we fully utilize or take advantage of that situation. But it will happen.
So, and how have you prepared for this? This has been in the offing for a while. Have you been engaging with customers there?
We are working with UK-based clients, and we do have several customers with whom we are in touch with, and we are growing our business relationship with them. So definitely we are prepared. We are talking to many customers, and we will take advantage of this opportunity for India.
So what is the current construct of your top line to the UK? And what does this agreement do likely to your top line maybe in the next 2 to 3 years? How large are you looking at this opportunity from a company standpoint? How large is it for you?
So today UK is not that big. Today UK is about 3 to 4% of our total top line exports to UK. I think it has got the potential to grow substantially. We can even increase our UK revenues by 60-70%, or maybe even 100%. So we'll wait and see. It'll take a few years to get there, but I think as and when the FTA matures, FTA comes into effect, I think we will start seeing a rapid growth in our business with UK-based customers, and a fairly rapid growth.
Looking at this, are you hoping for a favorable deal with the US? How important does that become for your sector, sir?
So with each country, it's different, and we are hoping that with EU and with US, we may, if we do have a good deal with those two countries, then the opportunity for Indian apparel industry will be fairly significant. We're just hoping that will happen soon, keeping fingers crossed and waiting for some good FTAs or BTAs with other countries.
We'll leave it at that, Mr. Ganpati. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us, giving us those thoughts. Really appreciate your time. We got to get in closing strategies as well. But Aditya, very quickly, and thank you for waiting patiently with us while all of this was on. Does this entice you enough to make an investment into any of the beneficiaries? Aditya? Okay, I think we've just missed out Aditya. Never mind. Rajesh, if you are with us and if you can hear me, the textile companies, the likes of Gokuldas Exports, Welspun Living, or some of the auto component companies as well, is there a trade in any of these?
I think Gokuldas Export is, consolidating since last couple of days, and it's, witnessing some supply pressure around 200-day moving average supply area, which is placed at around 950. So I think any breakout above 950 can take stock further higher towards 1050, 1080 kind of zone. Overall structure is bullish. Stock is consolidating since last couple of month also in a broader range, and the stock is poised for giving breakout over 960. And once the breakout happens, I think rally can extend towards 1100 level also on a short-term perspective for this counter. Even if we analyze on the Welspun Living, this stock is now negotiating with its falling trend line on a monthly chart, which is placed at around 144, 145. Any breakout over 145 can take this stock also higher towards 160 zone. So this is the fourth consecutive month where stock is trying to negotiate with this trend line resistance area. So 145 needs to watch closely. Any breakout should be a buying opportunity. Above 145, one can buy. Stop loss should be placed at around 138.
Okay, Manishi Ray Chaudhary is with us as well of Emmer Capital. And Aditya, are you there with us? If you can hear me, are you firstly to you first, and thank you for waiting by patiently. Are you buying into any of these FTA beneficiaries?
Not particularly. If you are a long-term investor, then you're already looking at companies who are exporting. For example, the chemical companies are already under my radar. For example, SRF reported very good set of numbers yesterday, and they are going to be beneficiary of the FTA. So from my perspective, these are short-term news. However, longer term, you need to focus on the quality of the companies per se in order to make investment decisions. But chemicals or shrimp feed companies, where Avanti Feeds or Apex Frozen Food, those look really very interesting, where the valuations are really very attractive.
Mr. Rai Chaudhary, I'm just trying to understand if this is also a confidence booster for the markets overall. A mood booster, so to speak. I know it's not the India-US trade deal, but it's a very significant trade deal with an important trading partner for India, and also sets the template of how we are coming out successfully from a negotiation.
Right. No, you're right about that. I think it's a sentiment booster. We don't get past the details, and as I understand, there were quite a few points of contention. Sorry,
we'll have to try and get you back. Can barely hear you. All right, Manishi Rai Chaudhary there. We'll get back to more on this. Just the timeline there for our viewers who are tuning in right now. 5:30 p.m. is where we'll get details of the deal. Right now, it's a bit, we know the broad contours. We know what sectors will be benefiting, but we'll get details at 5:30 p.m. You will have a joint press conference 6:30 p.m. Well, this is India Standard Time between the two prime ministers, and we'll hear there. Through the evening on NDTV Profit, you are going to hear from some of the largest corporates, because there's a big delegation that is there in the United Kingdom. Just final thoughts, just as we're closing, Rajesh Pagria, on what you're seeing as the big picks, and do you see any of these sectors which will benefit that could fire tomorrow in trade?
So I think chemical is a basket where one can look at for buying side, because the most of the stocks are on a verge of giving breakout. So chemical would be a sector. SRF, Navin Fluorine, these two stocks can be looked at from that basket. For BT point of view, I think Jindal Steel and Power is looking very attractive. Fresh breakout of a multiple supply zone breakout is happening on the counter on a weekly chart. Looking at the breakout, I think Jindal Steel and Power can be looked at for BTST point of view. Upside target we are projecting on 1020, 1030 with stop loss of 982.
Aditya, textiles, chemicals, even a Tata Motors, do you think these are some of the stocks that you should look at for a more detailed response, maybe tomorrow once the contours of the deal are cleared?
The Tata Motors is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries because of JLR, and imports of JLR into India would be far more easier. So that is one stock that is going to be a major beneficiary. And as I said, chemical stocks, seafood stocks, and textile stocks for that matter, all of these stocks will continue to benefit from the UK-India FTA.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aditya and Rajesh, for bringing in, that perspective on a day when the markets have been pretty dismal, honestly. I hope there is some good news coming in, because from a Nestle to a Trent, you've had the consumer space suffering. It's only Eternal, which is really running up. Not a great close, Harsh.
Well, no, not really. We're down around 0.2%. We're probably closing at the low point of the day. Let's pull up the intraday chart. That'll get us better perspective. Of course, You have SBI Life's numbers flashing on the bottom of your screen. You want to take note of that. That's a Nifty 50 company. But there you go. Very, very close to the day's lows. 25,018 was the day's low that we've hit. Now, let's pull up the heat map as well. And let's quickly look at the heat map, and within that you're seeing eternal up around 3.5+%. So that one is still perked up in trade. Dr. Reddy's, despite a weak set of numbers coming in, especially from North America, stock still doing okay. Tata Motors, of course, the India-UK FTA, one of the reasons why Tata Motors is up, but Nestle is down nearly 6, again on the back of numbers. So numbers really dominating headlines. We'll have Shriram Finance's numbers coming in tomorrow, so focus there. Bajaj Finance on the back of the numbers likely to come in again today evening. The stock is down 1% or thereabouts. So it's a fairly tepid day of trade. The breadth not doing us any favors either. And therefore you're seeing that 160 odd point lower on the Nifty 50 index. Let's pull up the advanced decline now very quickly and on the exchange. And that will give us just the way in which the breadth has moved. That is reflective of largely how the Nifty's breadth is as well. So you're seeing the same kind of tone and tenor even among...
A flurry of news breaking as we're closing. First of all, Bajaj Finance numbers have come. So you might want to look at those. We also have the joint press conference on the trade deal which has started. We'll cut across to that very quickly as well.
और ये ब्रिटिश कामदारों के लिए बहुत अच्छी होगी वो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में आगे बढ़ के, जैसे विस्की डिस्टिलरी है स्कॉटलैंड में और लंदन में, मैनचेस्टर और लीड्स में सर्विस सेक्टर है और जो लोग इसका उपयोग करते हैं यहाँ यूके में इंडियन सामान अच्छे दामों में मिलके.
It is good for consumers because it will bring down prices on Indian goods in the United Kingdom, like clothes and shoes and food, and it will deliver benefits for the long term. It will add about £4.8 billion to the UK economy every year and £2.2 billion to wages and hundreds of millions of pounds to regions and nations up and down the United Kingdom.
और ये और यहाँ के कंज्यूमर के लिए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा और ये दोनों देशों में जो बातचीत होगी, ट्रेड होगी, जो बढ़ेगा.
Don't bother, we can use English word in between. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, His Excellency, I've lost the speed. His Excellency, I've lost the speed.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Sorry, do you want me to repeat?
Yes.
Okay. I think we understand each other well. I mean, look, and we both know this is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. And I think I can say that it's one of the most comprehensive deals that India has ever done. So thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership and for your pragmatism. And I'd like to thank everybody who's worked so hard to get this deal over the line.
और आज ये जो बहुत बड़ी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव डील तैयार की है और कामयाब की है, उसके लिए मैं आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कहना चाहता हूँ प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब. और ये दोनों टीम जहाँ काम करके ये जो काम पूरा किया है, इसके लिए मैं बहुत खुशी हूँ.
And you know, as I've said before, and as we were just discussing in our tete-a-tete, we've entered a new global era, and that is one that requires us to step up, not to stand aside, to deliver for the British people by building deeper partnerships and alliances. And today is very much confirmation of that approach.
और अभी वहाँ पे बात सब कर रहे थे आपके साथ बैठ के, हमने बातें की कि नई ग्लोबल ईरा पैदा करनी है और इसके लिए हमको सब कुछ करना है जो हम सक्षम है, जिसके बाद ब्रिटिश लोगों को यहाँ पे बहुत ही बड़ी पार्टनरशिप मिलेगी आपके देश से. और यहाँ पे जो हम करने वाले हैं उससे दोनों देशों को फायदा होगा.
And the UK has been negotiating a deal like this for many years, but it is this government that got it done. And with it, we're sending a very powerful message that Britain is open for business. And that is already generating huge confidence. Today we're announcing nearly £6 billion in investment and export wins between India and the United Kingdom, creating over 2,200 jobs for British workers.
और ये जो ऐसी निगोशिएशन मैं पहले बहुत की है, पर ये जो अभी हमने किया है ये बहुत ही बड़ा होगा, क्योंकि ब्रिटिश लोगों को और संसार को ये जानेंगे कि ब्रिटेन इज ओपन फॉर बिजनेस, व्यापार के लिए खुला है. और ये ब्रिटिश लोगों के लिए भी बहुत अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि ये 6 बिलियन पाउंड्स के 6 बिलियन पाउंड्स यहाँ पे नहीं पैदा होगा. और यूके और इंडिया ने जो ये साथ काम करने का निर्णय किया है, इससे 2,200 जॉब्स भी पैदा होंगे यहाँ पे.
But of course, as we've discussed this morning, this is not the extent or the limit of our collaboration with India. We have unique bonds of history, of family, and of culture. And we want to strengthen our relationship further so that it is even more ambitious, modern, and focused on the long term, the step up in the relationship that we discussed in the autumn of last year. And that's why, alongside this trade deal, I am delighted that we're building on our partnership by launching our India-UK Vision 2035 strategy, pledging to work more closely on areas such as defence, migration, climate, education and health.
और इस सुबह जब हमने बात की थी कि एक आपस के साथ कोलैबोरेट करेंगे, इससे ये साबित होता है कि हम लोग अपनी इतिहास, फैमिली और संस्कृति को बहुत ही मजबूत बनाना चाहते हैं, और जो मजबूत रहा है. और इसीलिए भविष्य में हम ये दोस्ती, ये रिश्ता स्टेप अप करना चाहते हैं. वो ट्रेड डील बना के और इंडिया और यूके 2035 विजन के आधार में वो जो डिफेंस है, माइग्रेशन है, एजुकेशन है, उस पे ध्यान देके.
We will also build on the fantastic work we already do in technology and innovation, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the landmark Technology Security Initiative and making the most of the opportunities it represents for both of our countries.
और टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन के क्षेत्र में भी अभी पहली एनिवर्सरी मनाया है जो हमने, वो टेक्नोलॉजी, इनोवेशन, सिक्योरिटी के आधार पे है, और ये आगे बढ़ेगा, इसका पूरा विश्वास है.
Well, okay, we're dipping in and out of that press conference. Keir Starmer there speaking, and translation coming in of the deal as it is. There's going to be a very, very big move on lowering of tariffs. India will in fact be lowering tariffs on a whole host of products from the United Kingdom. Let me see if we have that feedback, and then we'll go back to it right away. We are also going to see an average tariff go from 15% to 3%. In fact, Prime Minister Modi is speaking now. Let's listen in.
Namaskar. Prime Minister Starmer, friends, namaskar, good morning.
सबसे पहले मैं प्रधानमंत्री स्टार्मर के गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत सत्कार के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है. मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है.
First of all, let me extend my heartfelt gratitude to Prime Minister Starmer for the warm welcome and gracious hospitality. Today marks a historic day in our bilateral relations. I am pleased to note that after many years of hard work, the comprehensive economic and trade agreement between our two countries has been concluded today.
यह समझौता मात्र आर्थिक साझेदारी नहीं, बल्कि साझा समृद्धि की योजना है। एक और भारतीय टेक्सटाइल, फुटवियर, जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी, सी फूड और इंजीनियरिंग गुड्स को यूके में बेहतर मार्केट एक्सेस मिलेगा। भारत के एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस और प्रोसेस्ड फूड इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके की मार्केट में नए अवसर बनेंगे। भारत के युवाओं, किसानों, मछुआरों और एमएसएमई सेक्टर के लिए यह समझौता विशेष रूप से लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा। वहीं दूसरी ओर भारत के लोगों और इंडस्ट्री के लिए यूके में बने प्रोडक्ट्स जैसे मेडिकल डिवाइसेस और एरोस्पेस पार्ट सुलभ और किफायती दरों पर उपलब्ध हो सकेंगे।
This agreement does not merely pave way for economic partnership, but is also a blueprint for our shared prosperity. On the one hand, Indian textiles, footwear, gems and jewelry, seafood, engineering goods will get better market access in the UK. Indian agricultural products, processed food industry will find new opportunities in UK's market. This agreement will prove especially beneficial for India's youth, farmers, fishermen and MSME sector. On the other hand, people and industries in India will be able to access products made in the UK, such as medical devices and aerospace parts at affordable and attractive prices.
इस समझौते के साथ ही डबल कंट्रीब्यूशन कन्वेंशन पर भी सहमति बनी है। इसे दोनों के सर्विस सेक्टर, विशेषकर टेक्नोलॉजी और फाइनेंस के उसको एक नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस को गति मिलेगी। कॉस्ट ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस घटेगा और कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस बढ़ेगा। साथ ही यूके की अर्थव्यवस्था को भारतीय स्किल टैलेंट मिलेगा। इन समझौतों से दोनों देशों में निवेश बढ़ेगा और रोजगार के नए अवसर बनेंगे। इतना ही नहीं, दो लोकतांत्रिक देशों और विश्व की दो बड़ी इकोनॉमीज के बीच हुए यह समझौते वैश्विक स्थिरता और समृद्धि को भी बल देंगे।
Along with this agreement, we also have reached a consensus on the Double Contribution Convention. This will inject new energy into the service sectors of both countries, especially in technology and finance. It will promote ease of doing business, reduce from India's skill talent. These agreements will enhance investments and generate new employment opportunities in both countries. Moreover, as agreements reached between two democracies and two of the world's major economies, they will lend support to global stability and global prosperity.
फ्रेंड्स, अगले दशक में हमारी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को नई गति और ऊर्जा देने के लिए विजन 2035 जारी किया जा रहा है। यह टेक्नोलॉजी, डिफेंस, क्लाइमेट, एजुकेशन और पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट के क्षेत्रों में एक मजबूत, भरोसेमंद और महत्वाकांक्षी साझेदारी का रोड मैप बनेगा।
Friends, to give new momentum and energy to our comprehensive strategic partnership in the coming decade, today we are launching our Vision 2035. Vision 2035 is a roadmap that will form the basis of a strong, trustworthy an ambitious partnership in the fields of technology, defense, climate, education, and people-to-people connect.
डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी के लिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल रोड मैप बनाया गया है। हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव को और मजबूत करने पर काम किया जाएगा। इट इज अवर कमिटमेंट दैट फ्रॉम एआई टू क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स, सेमीकंडक्टर्स टू साइबर सिक्योरिटी, we shall create the future together.
A defense industrial roadmap has also been drawn up for partnership in defense and security. Work will continue on strengthening our technology security initiative. It is our commitment that from AI to critical minerals, from semiconductors to cybersecurity, we shall create the future together.
Friends, शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में भी दोनों देश मिलकर एक नया चैप्टर लिख रहे हैं। यूके की 6 यूनिवर्सिटीज भारत में कैंपस खोल रही हैं। पिछले हफ्ते ही भारत के गुरुग्राम शहर में साउथ हैम्पटन यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस का उद्घाटन हुआ है।
Friends, in the field of education too, we are writing a new chapter together. 6 universities of the UK are opening their campuses in India. Just last week, the University of Southampton inaugurated its campus in the city of Gurugram in India.
Friends, पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। दोज who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी।
Friends, we thank the Prime Minister and his government for strong condemnation of the terrorist attack in Pahalgam. We are united in the belief that there is no place for double standards in the fight against terrorism. We also agree that the forces which espouse extremist ideologies should not be allowed to misuse democratic freedoms. Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held to account. Our security agencies will continue to enhance cooperation and coordination on matters such as the extradition of economic offenders.
Friends, इंडो-पैसिफिक में शांति और स्थिरता, यूक्रेन में चल रहे संघर्ष और पश्चिम एशिया की स्थिति पर हम विचार साझा करते रहे हैं। हम जल्द से जल्द शांति और स्थिरता की बहाली का समर्थन करते हैं। सभी देशों की संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का सम्मान अनिवार्य है। आज के युग की मांग विस्तारवाद नहीं, विकासवाद ही है।
Friends, we have continued to exchange views on peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, and the situation in West Asia. We support early restoration of peace and stability. Respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries is essential. Today's era demands development, not expansionism.
Friends, पिछले महीने अहमदाबाद में हुई दुर्घटना में मारे गए लोगों में कई यूके के नागरिक भाई बहन भी थे। उनके परिवार वालों के प्रति हम संवेदनाएं प्रकट करते हैं। यूके में रहने वाले भारतीय मूल के लोग हमारे संबंधों में एक लिविंग ब्रिज का काम करते हैं। They did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment and character. इनका योगदान सिर्फ यूके की समृद्ध इकोनॉमी तक सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यूके के कल्चर, स्पोर्ट्स और पब्लिक सर्विस में भी दिखता है.
Friends, last month in the unfortunate plane crash in Ahmedabad, our sisters and brothers of the UK were among those who lost their lives. I would like to express my deepest condolences to the families of the victims. The people of Indian origin in the UK form a living bridge that connects our two nations. They did not just bring curry from India, but also creativity, commitment and character. Their immense contributions are not just limited to UK's prosperous economy, but are also visible in UK's culture, sports and public service.
Friends, जब भारत और यूके मिले और वह भी टेस्ट सीरीज के दौरान, तो क्रिकेट का उल्लेख तो करना ही पड़ता है. फॉर बोथ ऑफ अस, cricket is not just a game, but a passion, and also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building high-scoring सॉलिड पार्टनरशिप. आज संपन्न हुए समझौते और विजन 2035 इसी स्पिरिट को आगे बढ़ाने वाले माइलस्टोन है.
Friends, I would be remiss not to mention cricket when India and the UK are coming together, especially during a test series. For both of us, cricket is not just a game, but a passion. And also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building a high-scoring, solid partnership. The agreements concluded today and Vision 2035 are milestones which advance this very spirit.
प्रधानमंत्री जी, मैं एक बार फिर आपके आतिथ्य सत्कार के लिए आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. मैं आपको भारत यात्रा करने का निमंत्रण भी देता हूं और आशा करता हूं कि हमें शीघ्र ही भारत में आपका स्वागत करने का अवसर मिलेगा. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Prime Minister, I thank you once again for your warm hospitality. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend an equally warm invitation to you to visit India.
Conclusion of a very, very successful trade deal. A lot of that thrown in as well. Reference to the dastardly Pahalgam attacks and thanking the United Kingdom for their support on it. Reference to the very unfortunate Air India mishap, which was on its way. That flight was on its way to the UK. So all of that coming in. But Rishabh Bhatnagar joining in for more on that. Rishabh, we're going to get the details of the deal at 5:30. But what are you gleaning from the speeches from both the heads of state?
Right, Tamanna, the final document upload might be delayed till 5:30 is what we're hearing, but we have most of the details already. It's now public. We're seeing that about $56 billion in bilateral trade as of now. That will double to $120 billion is what we're hearing by 2030. This is part of the FTA deal. The FTA, of course, covers nearly 100% of the trade value. There's a few sectors that I didn't speak about earlier. One of them is leather. What we're seeing is that UK tariffs of up to 16% will be scrapped on leather. That means that India will gain roughly 5% market share in the next 1 or 2 years. Those are immediate gains. Those are not long-term horizons, but in the next 1 or 2 years, this FTA is poised to ensure that Indian makers will gain about 5% market share in the United Kingdom. And this will unlock also about $900 million worth of exports in leather as well as footwear. Pharma is something that we haven't spoken about, and pharma is, of course, now a two-way street in terms of medical devices. Like Prime Minister Modi just said that medical devices that are made in the UK will now be cheaper for Indians to buy here. So a lot of life-saving medical devices as well as drugs now accessible to the Indian audience. So what we're also seeing is like medical devices like X-ray as well as ECG machines will now be duty-free. So if you're importing any of these from UK, no tariff will be levied on those. In terms of chemicals now, that is something also we didn't speak about. This will boost India's chemical exports for anywhere about 30 to 40%. This is all mentioned in the FTA. Exports are projected to reach roughly $750 million by FY26. Again, a very near-term gain, a very short-term gain, not the 5 and 10-year numbers that other FTAs boast of. What we're seeing is that in terms of jewelry exports, about 940 million India already exports to the UK. About 400 million is jewelry alone, and that is expected to double in the next 2 to 3 years. So again, a very short-term goal that we're seeing in terms of chemicals, in terms of jewelry, in terms of pharma. Electronics, another one. There is zero duty access to the UK for Indian electronics items. That is something that the government has been pushing for a really long time in India. Smartphones have been a major benefactor of India's electronics push, and we will see UK emerge as a very key market for Indian electronics manufacturers.
Okay.
Those and
So a lot to unpack.
marine
A lot to
exports is
that's right. That's right, Rishabh. A lot to unpack there in terms of the details of the deal. It's very wide-ranging, but it's I think a landmark deal because it's really bringing down the level of tariffs dramatically. We spoke to Gokul Das Exports, and they said that now there's a level playing field, at least in textiles, between India and and Bangladesh. For those who like their tipple, whiskey, gin, etc., is going to get much cheaper. But you're going to see the impact over a whole host of other factors as well. Watch out for a Tata Motors tomorrow. It's one of the many
stocks
that might be impacted.
Yeah, should be interesting to see how this shapes up. Big deal for both countries, and let's see, hopefully win-win for everybody. But as Prime Minister Modi said, a long partnership. But for now, we call it an end to this very long show today from Tamanna, Harsh and me. Thank you so much for tuning in, but stay tuned for more news and updates on NDTV Profit.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बार में खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in?